Okay, everyone. So right now I'm gonna do a wedding dress, and this is a wedding dress that I pick on the internet. So I'm gonna sketch her and transfer it on my sketches. I found these croquis that's somewhat similar to the same pose like her. I have my tracing paper that I'm gonna work with first. First, I'm gonna use the tracing paper and get everything on the tracing paper, and then I'm gonna put color on her. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing I do, I trace over the croquis sketch on the tracing paper. Then I start sketching the dress once I'm done tracing over the body. I'm just using regular lead pencil to design the dress. As I design the dress, I'm just, you know, I'm working on the bodice. I'm doing like a crisscross lines, and I just do these little flowers below the breasts. And I just add in the ruffles on the dress. It's kind of like drawing ribbons on the hemline to add these ruffles. Now, in the photograph, I think she had like 4 layers on the ruffles or the hem, but I kind of over exaggerated on this sketch. And that's okay because you just want to give the idea of how you want the garment to look once it's actually made. And this is just only an illustrator sketch. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. The only time when you need it to be 100% perfect is when you're doing um, a spec. A spec is like a measurement, exact measurement of how the garment is made. But when you're doing the illustrating sketch, you're just giving the idea of the appearance of what the garment will look like if you actually made it. So an illustration is giving you more of a visual presentation of what the garment is going to look like, and a spec garment is give you the exact measurement of how the garment is going to be made and manufactured. So right now this is just an illustration, and it's okay if it's not 100% perfect. You just want to give the idea of what it would look like if you actually transform it and make it into a real garment. So now I finished completing drawing the dress, and I'm just adding detail to the face and to the hairstyle. So right now, after I finish sketching the garment on tracing paper, I'm using my light box, and I might be working in the dark. You could work with the light on or off, but right now I'm using my light box and I'm tracing over the illustration in ink. Or, if you want, you could use color pencils. My preference is to use ink. Everybody's different. Some people don't use ink. They will use their pencils for drawing. But I love, my preference, I like seeing the harsh. Well, harsh is not a great way to describe it. I like seeing the dark lines in my drawing. So I always trace it over with black ink before I color it. Okay, now that I am finished tracing over with black ink, I'm shading in the body. And what I do is with the flesh tone, I like to trace over the skin tone with pencil. That's how I do my illustration. If the dress was blue, I'll trace over the garment with a blue pencil. So I like to outline my sketch using a color pencil. That's how I personally like to illustrate my work. So right now I'm just using flesh tones, and I am shading her complexion. And how I shade, I will start off with light, and then I will add the shadows last. And right now, because it's a wedding dress, you want to shade with light gray or silver to add in like little shades or detail, not too much. You're just working on it and adding light. Right now, I'm coloring her lips, and I'm adding real makeup to the illustration. I'm adding makeup on her face to make her have blush. Excuse me. Also for the wedding dress, like I say, I use different shades of gray to give it the shadow, and I also add like silver, and I do some gel ink for like the lips, and also on the dress like silver gel ink to make the dress sparkle. And I also use white gel to for any mistakes I made, if I made any on the dress. So there you have it. You can actually see the actual detail of what the illustration look like close up, and you can see the little shading of gray to give the appearance of shadows. And like I say, I did a crisscross lines to give it detail. So I hope that was helpful to get you started on doing any wedding dress.